Because for a long time, since I first published the donut diagram in 2012, people have been saying, well, can we do that here? We want to do that for here. Where the here is a town, a city, a nation. On Twitter, somebody sent me this from Berlin. We're asking what would it mean for Berlin to become a donut city. In Stockholm, an urban designer sent me this picture. He said, this is my design table. We're developing a new suburb of the city. It's going to be in this area here. There's a train station that's not been open for 30 years. This has long been planned to be a new suburb. He said, I've got the donut on the design table. We want to make it the world's most sustainable living district. We're going to call it a donut district. And I thought, what have I done? But people are wanting to use this. So, in fact, here's the core vision. And this is what I cooked up with Janine Benyus. We had a breakthrough moment. And this is the core philosophy of what I'm going to present. Ambitious places in the 21st century need to be asking themselves a fourfold question. We want to be thriving people in a thriving place. That's our local vision. But we must do so while respecting the well-being of all people and the whole planet. And that's our global responsibility. And everything I'm now going to show you is sitting underneath this philosophical foundations. So it means a local question and a global question, a social question and an ecological. So this four-part question: what does thriving mean to people here? And what does it mean for this place to thrive? How do we do that while respecting the rights of all people? And how do I do that while respecting the health of the whole planet? I'm going to show you briefly the methodologies, because these need 4 different methodologies to answer. The aim is to create what we're thinking of playfully calling a city selfie. We're thinking at the level of cities. That's working with C40. So to show a city itself through these 4 lenses of its ambition and where it is today as the beginning of a journey to becoming a thriving place for its own space and the world in which it lives. So on the local, I'm going to start on the local question. What does thriving mean to people here? Let the people of this place define what thriving means. It will be very different in different places and cities of the world, how they consider that to be. We want it to be determined by the local residents. We're drawing to of course, for everything we're doing, we want to create a threshold level. What is the threshold and where are we now? So to get the threshold, what targets has this place set for itself already? Working in the city of Amsterdam, we took the Doelenbaum, which is the target tree. Amsterdam has 49 goals that it's set for itself. We said, well, these are already agreed targets. But also, what do the people of this place think is a decent level of healthcare, education, transport, housing? Let's keep updating those. And we want to draw on, so this is imagined data, don't quote any of that, I just made that up. But we might then find that 11% of children live in incomparable homes. Somebody mentioned 1 in 4 children, I think, in this city yesterday. Youth unemployment. So we'll fill it in with locally available data. We'll add quotes from people that bring lived experience to data, because data can be lifeless until you actually hear what it means to somebody to live in those conditions. And also we're going to be using word clouds. What I love about living here is what's missing in this place is, and get word cloud impressions from the community. Anybody out there who does this kind of work, what else should we be doing? How else should we be illustrating and making visible what the people of this place think it means to thrive here? I love your ideas. Secondly, and this is the heart of Janine Benyus's work, if the city of Amsterdam, which we've been working, says, we want to be a thriving place, Janine would say, well, what's the wild land next door? It's actually quite hard in Amsterdam because they brought it out of the water. So what would the wild land be? But go to the wild land next door, the healthy ecosystem of this bioregion, of this habitat, and take its metrics. And then these become the metrics: how much carbon dioxide it's sequestering, how much water it's storing, how much soil it's forming, how much biodiversity it's housing. These become the metrics for the city. And the aim of the city is to match or exceed nature's performance. It's wonderfully, outrageously ambitious, and yet totally natural common sense. That's what I love about this idea. So you go to the wildland next door, measure its metrics in all these ecological performance of how nature is regenerating itself, and these become the metrics of the city. And then you measure where the city is, this is imaginary, this is the shortfall. Now what kind of designs could be put into place in this place that would store more water, purify more air, cool the air, stop the erosion, sequester more carbon, for example. I find this so exciting as the design starting point for a 21st century place. So we could then put those two together. This is all imaginary, what I'm showing you, this is not real data. You could put these two together and say the social goals were set by the people of this place of what they think thriving means, and we're currently falling short. And the ecological goals are set by the wildland next door, and we are currently falling short in our city. Now, we need to aim to fill all of that in, to live up to those thresholds, or even exceed them. Plenty of places could say, that's all, that's it, thank you, we now get to work. But that's only local ambition for thriving people, thriving place. We have to recognise the deep interconnectedness of place, and so we also have to ask, but how do we do that? Wonderful, high ambition here in Rotterdam. We've all got our phones, we've all got our eating lovely food, well dressed. Where did the phones come from? Where did the food come from? Where did these clothes come from? What's the ecological and social impact of living well here? We have to take account of that. How do we respect the well-being of all people and the whole planet? So let me start with the ecological. How can we quantify a city's consumption footprint? Not just in terms of greenhouse gases, but in terms of nitrogen and phosphorus, in terms of land use, in terms of fresh water, in terms of ocean impact. We are evolving this right now. I'm working with a wonderful researcher called Frederick Eriksson, who is currently taking, if you're into this stuff, taking global footprint data, scaling it to the city, top down first with population and income size, but then adding local available data to refine it and give it